Now we have a keynote speech from Deputy of Maritime Affairs and Natural Resources of Ministry of National Development Planning, Ms. Vivi Yulaswati. For Ms. Vivi Yulaswati, the place is yours.
Yang saya hormati Pak Teguh Santoso, Ketua JMSI, Pak Arifianto, and Mr. Park, and tentu Pak Tatang, my colleagues, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Annyeonghaseyo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning for all of you. I'm preparing some slides to give some overview about the Indonesian Food and Agriculture Development Planning. Can somebody help to post the material? Okay, next slide please. So from here, you can see that Indonesia has made a major strides in food security. On the top side, we could see here that Indonesia could succeed to stabilize rice price over long term, even also during the shocks. And then we could significantly reduce the undernourishment despite during the COVID. It's a bit increased, now we are back on track again. And also ensured energy sufficient diet for almost everyone in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Some issues on food and agriculture still exist. Some identified issues include the food vulnerability, unsustainable use of production input. This relate particularly on the fertilizer subsidy, in which we only subsidize for the NPK and also the urea. So many farmers and also who also works in plantations tend to use it excessively. So that's why in some areas we have some problem about the soil health. We also experience some greenhouse gas emissions, in which keep increasing, and then of course degraded ecosystem that's linked with the soil health situations, and increasing demand on food. You can see on the left hand side, Indonesia will still grow in terms of populations. By 2045, it is estimated that Indonesia population would be around 324 million people. It's going to be the 6th biggest in the world, exceeding by, we are now the 4th populous country in the world. In 2045, will be estimated around at six biggest populations, exceeding by Pakistan and Nigeria. So due to the imbalances between demand and productions, of course, there are some problems that I already mentioned earlier. And of course, it will require sufficient food demand, and also other resources, including water and energy. That's why we are now more talking about also about the nexus between the few food, energy, and water. Next slide shows more challenges that emerge not only facing by Indonesia, but also many other countries. Maybe Mr. Park could also mention later that climate change also happening in Korea. So this create demand shifting to nutritious, high quality food. Younger generations now eat more meat. You can see at the left hand side, the red meat increased by around 70%, the portion 76% compared to the 2009, which is only 1.3%. So other things that also came up, it's on climate change impact, in which undermining the food security for Indonesia, mainly happening for the irrigated rice. So it's related to the problems with water as well as the energy. And In terms of digital transformations, agriculture is actually the least digitized sector in Indonesia, hurting productivity and its competitiveness. And untapped opportunity abound in precision farming, automations in agriculture, e-extension services, and of course the early warning system. And in relate to the financials, not many farmers engage in the fintech, e-commerce, and later on we are now pursuing on the traceability because many standardizations in other countries require us to do more sustainable manner. And of course, as Indonesia lies in the ring of fire, we have to enhance the preparedness to shocks. From the data, we could see here that around 98% of the disaster relate to the meteorological, hydrology, and climatological disaster. So of course, we are not talking about transformation, we are talking about developing a resilience, including toward the climate change. In the next slide, hence, the government has enacted the law number 59, 2024. It is about our integrative strategy, or I would say transformations for the next 20 years ahead, which is a long-term development plan 2025-2045. So there are 17 goals at the development agenda and 45 indicators and five main goals. We have a vision in this long-term development plan. We have a vision that Indonesia need to be an advanced country by 2045. Mr. Park already mentions about the middle income trap. And Indonesia itself actually has been in the same position of the middle income trap already been around 30 years. 30 years. It is a rule of thumb for a country if it stay in the same positions for more than 30 years, it's gonna be stay forever in that positions. One country that I know is like Argentina. Argentina was in the same position as America by 1938, but then without reform, without transformations, it's gonna be stay at the same positions, and we don't want to have the same route like that. We want to join also as an advanced country. Likewise, South Korea. Our peers like Philippines will join as an advanced country by 2038. Vietnam will join by 2042 by the current pace. So that's why we have to build the visions that Indonesia will escape from the middle income trap and join as an advanced country at least by 2045 when the country is celebrating 100 years in its independence. So you can see here from the five main goals, we have to have a per capita income on par with the developed countries, meaning that Indonesia need to grow as high as possible. Our president envisioned that Indonesia could grow by 8% for this next 5 years. And not only that, we have to increase the competitiveness of the human resources. And one more important things that we want to increase, to have greenhouse gas emission intensity decrease in order to meet our commitment to net zero emissions by 2060 or sooner. Different than the emission reductions, the intensity also have calculations to link with the GDP. It means that Indonesia in the future, in the next 20 years, need to transform into green economy, blue economy, and of course, sustainable. So many indicators have been put to be elaborated further by sectors as well as by local government. Next slide, please. In this slide, you can see that we have a vision for a food system that in 2045, Indonesia has a competitive, innovative, and resilient agriculture sector that provides viable and decent work opportunities to farmers and other agricultural workers, supports a dynamic agriculture system that affords healthy diets to all and enhances environmental sustainability. But Indonesia is not just one point. Indonesia at least have 5 big islands and many more islands. So that's why we have to strengthen our local food system. So resilient food system at the regions and the diversity in production and consumptions, healthy diets from diverse local food, as well as decentralized planning and decision-making process. Because we are quite heavily decentralized country. In the next slide, we could see what's in it in the Indonesian food system transformation. It's been laid out in 2021 Stocktake UNFSD. At least there are 5 pillars. First, about ending hunger, stunting through improving diets, promoting coastal and marine food, because 2/3 Indonesia is ocean. So now we are talking more about the blue food. Bappenas, working with the Stanford University, Microsafe, and also Surveyor Indonesia, just finalized the blue food assessment, which shows that we have quite huge potential, but many are still in traditional way. So of course, there are room of improvement for that. So in this regard, about the first pillar, including also about the healthy and nutritious food, fortification, biofortification, food loss and waste, research and innovation in local food, and of course promotion of culinary heritage and traditional food in a global fora. So if South Korea may be very well known on kimchi, we do hope that Indonesia could also contribute not only with rendang, but also rawon and many more. Other pillars, protecting and restoring natural resources, that of course including on conservation path. In inclusive business, it's about the promotion, partnership, and inclusive businesses, improving value chain and fair food trade. And I believe many of the young generation in this room, we do hope engage also in the food system businesses, because one of the best practices that we learn from, this is from Japan, the Sokuiku. It's about the school meal program there, engaging the youth or young generation, provide the program with many innovations in along food supply chain. On the local food system resilience, we are talking about about optimizing of the marginal agricultural and yard for resilience, and of course research and innovation would be the backbone. On the inclusive management is about the food logistic and infrastructure, regionalizations of food system in the planning, policy and management, and strengthening national and local food system planning, as well as economic and fiscal incentive. And now Bappenas still working to cascading in program activities as well as the projects to be prioritization and alignment with the vision mission of the president. So the self-sufficiency in food is part of the second national priority, in which we call it Astacita. So second Astacita is about the strengthening of the national security defense system and encouraging national independence through self-sufficiency in food, water, energy, and of course through the development of the Sharia economy, digital economy, green economy, as well as the blue economy. There are 5 pillars in the food productions: food availability, food safety and quality, governance, and economy productivities. This is still working paper. We do hope that the first presidential decree would be about the midterm development plan 2025-2029. Last slide. Of course, the strategy provides us rooms on the convergence between the food system transformation and the climate actions. And it is along the line with our commitment to meet the net zero emissions and also the enhanced NDC actions to create, i.e. low emission crop, water efficient agriculture practice, or organic fertilizer. So we are preparing the transform on the subsidy for, fertilizers, manure management for biogas as well as the feed supplement. That's all that I could share. Hopefully we could have a productive discussion and productive recommendation from this event. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Fifi Yulaswati, for a wonderful speech.